All right, so recording has started. Let's get into our lesson for today. It's September 9th. Happy Wednesday. Looks like Elizabeth's getting on. I'll let her in. Okay, so the plan for today. We've been doing a lot with rectangles the last week and a half, finding areas, using the side links to help us find the areas, counting out columns and rows, using that to help us find the areas. So you spend a lot of time with that. Hopefully you're getting more and more familiar with how those are connected. We talked about multiples yesterday in full depth and then a little bit on Friday. So the word multiple should be familiar for you guys. If I gave an example like 6, I could say that 6 is a multiple of 2 because we can skip count by 2 to land on 6. And we can also multiply 2 by something, in this case 3, to get 6. So remember, multiple is like the product. It's the end point, right? And if we look at the two things we're multiplying together, we say that that product or that end point, the answer, is a multiple of those, what we're going to learn about today, called factor pairs. So those two numbers we're multiplying together. Okay, so that's kind of a rundown the last couple days. Today we are going to get into factor pairs. We might not get it completely taken care of today. We'll probably finish up the discussion about factor pairs tomorrow, but we'll at least get it started. So the target for today is find side lengths of different rectangles with a given area. Okay, we've been doing the opposite. We've been finding areas given side lengths. Now we're going to flip it around. Let's find side lengths given an area. Okay, so looking at it kind of backwards. And then the next bullet, understand that the side length of a rectangle is a factor of its area. Remember, our target the last couple of days was about multiples and how the area is a multiple of the side lengths. Well, now we're going to look at the side lengths is a factor of the area. So very similar to what we were doing, but now we're looking at the opposite side of it. Okay. Homework, we won't have any homework today. We won't have any homework tomorrow either, probably not until Friday. But that doesn't mean that we're not paying attention or anything like that, because the reason why we're not having homework is because we're doing this as a class. So I want you involved. I want you following along. Today, like every other day, you'll need your pencil, you'll need your paper, and you'll need your workbook if you have it. Okay? Yep. Awesome. I see Camila's set. Looks like Malia's set, Tania's set. I can't see Elizabeth or Eileen, but this is just a everyday thing, right? Pencil, paper, and if you have your workbook, then bring your workbook. Which, on that note, Thursday night.
Dang it,
So is that tomorrow night? Yeah, tomorrow night. There will be a chance for you to pick up your workbook if you haven't already, your math manipulatives, whiteboards, markers, pencils, things like that. And then I also stopped by the store last night, picked up some goodies to throw in there. So a little incentive to come pick up your bags tomorrow night. There's some Tootsie Rolls, there's some Sour Punch straws, there's some good stuff in there. Yeah, tomorrow night, Tania, from 6 to 7:30, you can pick up your manipulatives, your whiteboards, and workbooks and things like that. So I posted that to Dojo. Please, if you can stop by, you should stop by because we need everyone to get those things. If you can't make that work tomorrow night, then we can figure out a time to come get it during the day. Eileen, your hand's up.
So at like 6 p.m. and 7 p.m.?
Yeah, so 6 o'clock to 7:30, myself, probably Mrs. McNett, and then for sure Miss Kangas will be out front of the school and handing out things. It's not going to last a long time. Like, you literally just roll up in your car, say hi, give you your stuff, and then you're done. You're on the road. So it'll probably last a minute a person. Really quick. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into what we're going to do today. Let's share this screen. Let's go through that whole act of getting it set up. Set up here. Okay, So there is a warm-up up here with some number talk multiplication, but I want to spend more time focused on the activities we're going to do today. So I know in the workbook you did have that warm-up. You're free to do it if you want, but I want to get into this activity so we can work through it as a class. So this activity, I'm really bummed you're not in class because this is a fun activity that's set up for you to work with a group, make a big poster, walk around the room, talk with each other and discuss. Unfortunately, we can't really do that. So the blue writing are the little changes that I've made to help us work on it as a class together. Okay. So let's go through the directions. I'll zoom in a little bit. So instead of being assigned two numbers, we're going to see the list below. These numbers below, which I'll scroll down and show, represent the area of a rectangle. Okay, so those are areas of rectangles. On grid paper or in your workbook or on a separate sheet of paper, I want you to draw all the possible rectangles that have the given area and side lengths. I want you to label the area and the side lengths and use each side length only once. So looking, for example, it says, for example, if you draw a rectangle with 4 units across and 6 units down, so if we were to draw that right here, there's 4 across, there's 6 down, you wouldn't also need to draw 4 down and 6 across, right? They're the same thing. You only need to draw those pairs once. Okay. So let me erase that real fast. Here's the list of rectangle areas that we're going to work on today. The goal is to get all these rectangles drawn today, and then if you have time, maybe we can start the discussion on it, but if not, we'll discuss more in detail tomorrow on what this means. So the areas that I want you guys to make are rectangles with an area of 16, 11, 25, 5, 8, and 18. Now this isn't just one rectangle for each. I want you to find all of the rectangles with each area. Okay, so let's go through the first one as a group here. I even color coded it so we can help keep it straight. But if I were to make a rectangle with an area of 16, what is one option that I could have? What length and width could I have for my rectangle for an area of 16? Any ideas out there? Remember, when we get the area of a rectangle, we're multiplying the side length. So what numbers can be multiplied together to get 16? Adelina, that's one example.
Hi. An example is you can draw 1 row and then 16 columns. I like doing that for some reason.
Yep, 1 row, 16 columns. I think that's 16 spots. If not, I apologize. But there's 16, there's 1. Yep, so that's one example. Perfect. Camila, do you have another one? Thank you, Adelina.
4 times 4.
Yep, so we have 4 times 4 are 4 columns and 4 rows. I'll draw that one for us. 4 times 4.
Do we
Okay,
draw?
are there any other? What's that?
Do we draw it? Do we draw it, or is it just an example?
No, start drawing these along with me. I know you don't have grid paper in your workbook, but just on a separate sheet of paper or in the packet. Did I leave you grid paper, Malia? Is there? Awesome. So I planned ahead. Great. I couldn't remember if I attached that or not. So use that grid paper then. So if you have the packet, I attached grid paper for you. But let's start drawing these out. So we have a 1 by 16. We have a 4 by 4. Are there any other numbers that can multiply together to get 16? I see Eileen's hand. Eileen, do you want to come off mute and share? So there's another rectangle.
An area that equals 16?
Yes. Sorry,
Okay.
I had to let Katie in, so it bumped my screen.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay, Katie. We are, just a second, Eileen, let me introduce this to Katie real fast. We are working on how many rectangles. If you have the workbook, then it's page 8. I know it says 6, but the workbook says 8. If you have packets, it's page 6 at the very end. Okay. So we're drawing these rectangles here. Eileen, go for it. Thank you for waiting.
2 columns and 8 rows.
Okay, I'm gonna draw it over, I'll draw it on the side here. So 2 columns, 8 rows. Is that 8? Let me see, 4. Yep. Okay, so we have an 8 row, 2 column rectangle. Are there any other options that we have? Malia?
10 rows and 8 columns.
So if we did 10 rows and 8 columns and tried to find the area.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So that'd be 80. Be a little too big.
Um, 2 columns and 5 rows.
So 2 columns and 5 rows would be 2 times 5. Is that 16?
No.
There may not be any more. Right? We're testing it out. We're seeing. In fact, there is a strategy that we can use to help us. You kind of create this little rainbow, right? If we have 1 and that's partnered with 16, their partner's there, right? 1 times 16 equals 16. Okay, and then we can go 1 bigger. Well, 2, and we said, well, 8, that matches. That's 2 times 16. Draw the arrow or the little rainbow. I drew it. There it goes. And then we said 4 and 4. So it's kind of attached to itself. But do you see how those are connected? And we kind of ran out of numbers to use. Like we could try 3, but if we skip count by 3, do we land on 16? No, we don't. We land on 15 and 18, right? I can show you 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So right in here would be 16, but we didn't land on it. So 16 is not a factor. So 3 doesn't work. And so we found all of the partners. You see that? Especially since 4 was a match here. There's nothing between 4 and 4, right? It's just 4 that would help us here. Okay, what about 11? Let's do 11 as a class real fast. What rectangles could we make that have an area of 11? What areas, or what rectangles, excuse me, could we make for an area of 11? Any ideas? Well, first and foremost, what's the easiest rectangle we can make for any area that we know for sure? Malia?
1 columns and 11 rows.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 1 row, 11 columns, if that's okay.
Mhm.
Just for space reasons. All right, so we have 1 there and 11. Right, that's a for sure. Every single number that we have, we can multiply 1 by that number to give us our pair. Okay, and then we used our strategy of moving up a number. So let's try 2. Does 2 work? Is 2 times something equal 11? If we skip count by 2, will we land on an odd number? Ever? Any ideas? If we skip count by 2, let's go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oh, right here. Right between 10 and 12 is 11, but we didn't land on it, right? The nice thing about 2 is we know that it is a keyword again, factor, which we'll get into more of a description of it later. But we know that 11 isn't a multiple of 2 because 11 is odd and 2 will always be in an even count. So 2 won't work. Well, what about 3? If we were to skip count by 3, would we land on 11? Leah says yes. Okay, well, let's try it. The nice thing about this is you can always skip count and test it out. So if we did 3 and then we went to 6 and 9 and 12. Oh, right between 9 and 12 is 11, but we didn't land on it. So 3 isn't an option. What about 4? Malia?
No, it won't.
No, it won't either, right? I saw you counting in your head, counting 4, 8, and then you landed on 12, and you're like, oh, we passed 11, so it's not going to land on it. So 4 will not work. You could try 5, but if we do 5, Malia's shaking her head again. Yeah, no. So if we keep on counting, no. Oops.
6 won't either.
Yep, 5 doesn't, 6 doesn't, 7 doesn't, 8 doesn't, 9 doesn't, 10 doesn't. So I think we found the only rectangle for 11. And that's okay, right? We're trying to find all the rectangles for each number. So maybe there's 1, maybe there's 4, maybe there's 2. That's what we're figuring out. Okay, so your job, I'm going to leave it up to you now. I'm going to give you maybe, let's see, we started 10:50. I'll give you about 5 minutes. Okay, 5 or 6 minutes. And now it's your turn. So starting at the red 25 here, I want you to use the same kind of strategy that we worked on for 16 and 11 to find all of the rectangles for 25, 5, 8, and 18. And when you're done, please raise your hand on the screen, and I'll know that you're finished, okay? If you don't finish, that's okay, but I want you to get as many as you can. Tania, do you have a question? Okay, go for it.
So does it still count if you can do 11 rows and 16 columns?
11 rows and 16 columns. So no, because if we're trying to find the area and find the area of 11, then 11 times 16 is a big number, like in the hundreds. So that's not an area of 11. Remember, each of these numbers here, like 16 and 11 and 25, those are the areas of the rectangle we're trying to find. So we're trying to find all the areas of rectangles with an area of 11. Find all the rectangles with an area of 16. All the rectangles with an area of 25. Now, as a class, we did all of them for 16 and all of them for 11. And now it's your turn to find all of them for 25, all of them for 5, and then for 8 and 18. Does that answer your question, Tania? So I'll give you maybe 3 more minutes, 4 more minutes. If you don't get all of them, that's okay, but I want to hear from some new voices too on helping me form these rectangles. So that's to say everybody needs to be working and drawing these rectangles because I'll call on different people. Okay, looks like we have one person done. If you're not quite finished, that's okay. We'll keep moving. Maybe 2 more minutes or so. Malia, did you do the rainbows like we showed in class? I can't hear you.
I did it on my fingers.
On your finger?
I-
Okay. That's okay.
Cause I tried to do the 8
Mm-hmm.
and
All right. Looks like we have Eileen finished up too, which is great. Let's go about 1 more minute. Keep finding all those rectangles.
Mr. Ross,
Yeah.
do we do all the rectangles for all the numbers or do we just do 11?
No, all the numbers.
Oh, okay. Even 25?
Kind of cut out. Who was that? What'd you say?
Even 25?
Yeah, 25, 5, 8, and 18. So all of them. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this. Whether you're done or not, that's okay. But let's hear some answers for each of these areas. Starting with 25. What are the rectangles I can make that make an area of 25? Camila.
5 times 5.
Okay, so we have 5 times 5. Very good. Okay, are there any other ones there?
That was the only one that I could find.
Okay, what was the other one that we said we can find for any number? And it's really easy.
1.
Yeah, so 1 row or 1 column, and that's multiplied by, in this case, 25. Remember us talking about that?
Yeah.
Now, I know this isn't 25, but let's pretend it is. I don't have enough grid spots for it. So we have a 1 by 25, and we have a 5 by 5. Were there any other ones we found for 25? Malia?
Can it be a weird shape?
No, it needs to be a rectangle.
Oh no.
Good thinking, though. Okay, so we have, I'll start drawing the little rainbow over here. No, my light just went off. We said we had 1 and 25 together, and then we had 5 times 5, so that's why I put the little squiggle over the 5. Did we find any other ones, did we say? For 25? Tania?
What I got was I got 3 rows, no, 9 rows and 3 columns.
Okay, 9 rows and 3 columns. Is that 1, 2? I did that backwards. But let's do the math on this. What's 3 times 9? If we were to count by 9, skip count by 9s, we'd have 9. What's 9 plus 9, Tania?
18.
Okay, and then if we were to add 9 again,
27.
yeah, 27. So you see how 25 would be in between 18 and 27, and since we skipped over it, 9 wouldn't be a factor for us. So the rectangle you described is actually 27 units squared for area. But good thinking. Okay, if we can't find any more, that's fine. Let's go on to 5 now. Who can give me a rectangle with an area of 5? Adelina?
Okay. I got for 5 is I did 1 row and 5 columns.
All right, 1 row, 5 columns. Okay, did you find any other ones?
Let's see.
No,
I
you did not. All right, let's go on to 8. Nice job, Adelina. 8, what are my options for 8? Malia, go for it.
So what I did is I did 2 rows and 4 columns.
Okay, so let's see, I'll put it right here. 2 rows, 4 columns.
Mhm.
All right, 2 by 4. Okay, did you find any other ones?
No.
No other ones? What was the easy one we said all of them have?
1 and 8. So
Yeah, 1 and 8. All right, 1 and 8. Okay, are there any other ones, Malia, or anybody? You can shake your head left and right if you say no more. No more. Okay, last one then, 18. Who can give me examples of rectangles with an area of 18? Eileen, go for it.
2 columns and 9 rows.
Okay, 2 columns. Oh, I just ran out. Pretend that that's another square down there. So we have 2 columns 9 rows. All right. That's an area of 18. Did you find any other ones? Camila?
18 times 1.
Okay, so we have 1 row. I don't think we'll have enough for 18.
Yeah.
Let's pretend that was 18. 1 row, 18 columns. Okay. Adelina, thank you, Camila and Eileen. Adelina, do you want to give us another one?
Okay. I actually have a multiplication table on my notebook. I barely just noticed this. And I was looking through it and I found 9. 9 times 2 equals 18.
Okay, thank you. Eileen actually did 9 times 2 over here, though.
Oh, did she? Okay, I didn't notice that.
Is
I didn't notice that.
there another one, Adelina?
I don't think there's any more. No, I don't think there's any more.
No more over there?
There is. Yeah.
Let's use our rainbow then. I'm drawing our rainbows. Okay, and
You
we
draw
have-
a rainbow. Oh wait, found it. I think I found it.
Okay, just a second. I'll come to you in just one. Oops, that was ugly. Let's get these written down so far. Okay, we have 1 and 18 for our 1 by 18. We have a 2 by 9 for our 2 by 9. Which one are you thinking, Adelina?
3 times 3 times 6.
Yeah, 3 by 6. I'm gonna draw it 3 rows, 6 columns. If you're cool with that.
Yep. Either way.
So there's our 3 by 6, and that equals 18 as well. Are there any other ones? Does 4 skip count to 18, or does 5? I see some shaking heads. No, they don't. 4 skips over 18, doesn't land on it, and 5 skips over 18, it doesn't land on it either, right? Okay, so now we have this big colorful mess of rectangles. You see it? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is actually where we're going to end today. Tomorrow, when you get into class, we're going to look at each of these rectangles and think about maybe some similarities between them. Think about the areas and the rectangles we came up for with the areas. And look at these rainbows too. There's some interesting things about it that I'm excited to discuss with you. So, do you guys have any questions on this? Nothing? This makes sense? Did the little rainbow exercise on the side help you and help you see it? And help you come up with all the different rectangles for each area?
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that.
Good. And I was hoping the colors helped too, kind of show the differences between each of them. Before we go, is there anything you notice or wonder about the areas, the amount of rectangles, the size of the rectangles, anything like that? Anything you notice or wonder before we close it for the day? Adelina, I saw your hand pop up.
I noticed that each one. Whoa. I noticed. I just got 2 assignments popped up, but I noticed that each color has their own each color has their own vigorous amount of areas. They have vigorous amount of areas. They have their own area.
They have a nearest amount of areas.
Yeah. Each one has a different different color and a different number, and different numbers that they have like that equal to. So like blue has 3, green has 1, red has 2, gray has 1, and then yellow has 2, and then purple has 3. They both have their each.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying, Adelina. That's a great notice. Do you have any wonders about that?
No.
No wonders? Just popped up? Just something you noticed? Well, that is a great point to raise, Adelina, because the amount of rectangles we can make for an area, or the amount of rainbow bands that we see here, they actually help us. There's a name that we have for each of those amounts, whether they're one or whether there's many. We're going to get into that. Maybe not tomorrow, but Friday. Maybe tomorrow we'll get into those names. But that's a great point to raise, Adelina. So thank you for bringing that up. That's where I'm going to stop it today. We're going to start with the same conversation tomorrow morning. So you have a chance to kind of iron out what a factor is, what it means for these rectangles that we have here, and maybe see how they compare with multiples as well. So if you don't have any questions, you are free to go. Thank you for your help today. Let me stop the recording real fast. Stop recording.